What's up, guys? It's Cole, and today I'm going to be talking about car transmissions. So, why do cars need transmissions? Well, transmissions convert engine speed to wheel speed. So imagine you just turn your car on, and your engine's turning at 1,000 RPM, and you put your car in drive or you put it into gear. Your car is not gonna be moving. Your wheels aren't gonna be turning at 1,000 RPM. That's thanks to a transmission. Also, they change the direction of power. um, the power goes along the drive shaft through the middle of the car, and the power has to go outwards towards the wheels. So the differential does that. Um, so yeah, let's get into it. The three main components of the transmission that I'm going to be talking about today are the gearbox, the clutch, and the differential. So the gearbox. So the gearbox is the part that converts engine speed to wheel speed, and the main components of the gearbox are the clutch, which you see on the very left in that picture, um, the gears, which are the first gear, second gear. Those are the helical gears. Um, the output shaft and the lay shaft. So the lay shaft is the one that takes the speed from the engine. The output shaft is the one that takes the new speed and sends it towards the wheels. And the selector fork and the dog gears. So transmissions that cars use are called synchronized transmissions or constant contact transmissions. This is because each gear is paired with a gear on the other shaft. So like a gear on the output shaft is paired with a gear on the lay shaft, and they add up. The radii add up to a constant throughout all the gears, so it can remain parallel. Um, so yeah, how does this work? All right, so the lay shaft takes um, the engine speed, and it's driven directly by the engine, and the gears on the lay shaft are fixed to the lay shaft, and so they they turn the gears on the output shaft, and the output shaft has gears that are mounted on um, they're mounted on slip rings, so they're not fixed. They can um, spin around the output shaft without actually moving it. To engage a gear, uh, a selector fork is used to push dog gear into place. The dog gear has teeth on the inside that connect to teeth on the outside of the helical gears and connect that to the output shaft, which in turn allows that gear to turn the output shaft. And here's a small animation for you to see dog gear coming into contact with the teeth on the outside of a helical gear, which connects it to the output shaft. See, there it goes and connects and changes the output speed. Um, okay, so the next major component is the clutch. So what does the clutch do? The clutch disengages the lay shaft from the engine, so you can change gear or come to a stop and not have your wheels turn, which is very useful. So the main components of a clutch are the flywheel, the clutch plate, the pressure plate, and there's also a throwout. There's a throwout bearing. Sorry, there's a throwout bearing and a diaphragm spring. Uh, so those two control the disconnect. But anyways, uh, how does it work? All right. So the pressure plate is connected to the main shaft, which is coming directly from the engine, and the clutch plate is connected to the lay shaft. And in between those two, they meet, and so this is how they engage and disengage. So on the clutch and the flywheel have a very high friction surface, and with lots of pressure from the pressure plate, they stick together and they're able to turn one by one. So the engine shaft and the lay shaft turn one to one when they're connected. So how do they disconnect? How do you disengage a shaft? How do you disengage the clutch? So the the throw out bearing comes and pushes the center of the diaphragm spring. And the diaphragm spring, how it works is, imagine your hand kind of like up on a table and you push the middle of your hand down and your fingers want to come out and like push, it relieves all the pressure off like your fingers. That's how the diaphragm spring works. So when you push the center of the diaphragm spring, the when the throwout bearing pushes the center of that, it releases all pressure on the pressure plate, which releases pressure on the clutch plate, which uh, stops stops contact between the clutch plate and the flywheel, so they are not touching. So when they are not touching, uh, the lay shaft doesn't turn with the engine. Uh, so um, so the whole uh, gearbox slows down, it stops, and so you could change gear, or you could go to a stop without worrying about your wheels moving uncontrollably with the engine. Um, so yeah, an automatic gearbox does this automatically without you having to do anything. In a manual gearbox, there's actually a pedal which you push, which is hydraulically powered or mechanically powered, and that pushes the throwout bearing into the center of the uh, diaphragm spring. So yeah. So the last part I want to talk about is the differential, and the differential allows wheels to spin at different speeds while turning. If you think about it, um, ooh, typo in my PowerPoint. It's okay. Um, so if you think about it, your car is going around a turn. The outside wheel has to take a longer path, so it has to travel at a faster speed than the inside wheel. So what a differential does, it slows down the inside wheel and speeds up the outside wheel. It also turns power 90 degrees out towards the wheels to give it an axis on which to rotate. So what makes up the differential? There are a few parts. There is a pinion gear, which comes from the drive shaft or the output shaft, and that connects to a large ring gear, which is the largest circle gear that you see in this animation, and then that is connected to some spider gears, which spin in a circle with the with the ring gear, and they also rotate on their own axis when the car is turning, as you'll see in this animation. And then that sends the spider gears send power to the final drive shafts, which are the shafts that take you to the wheels. So see this animation, you can see it turning the ring gear, and then the spider gears turning. Now they're rotating and turning one final drive shaft faster than the other. Um, some cool transmissions. Yeah, transmissions can be cool. The Koenigsegg Regera R, which is a Swedish supercar, has a crazy transmission, very unique. It's a hybrid with a single gear. So it has an electric motor that takes it to 37 miles per hour. And then from there, a single gear takes it from 37 miles an hour to 252 miles an hour. It can go from 0 to 252 miles an hour in about 20 seconds. So it's quite an incredible feat. It does this with a massive amount of horsepower and torque. It's like 1,500 horsepower, like 1,000 pound-feet of torque. It is crazy. It's also crazy expensive. Um, as you can see, it's also the car that I had on the cover. Yeah, so also Tesla, most people don't think they have any transmission, but they do have a single gear. Um, so their single gear is just to turn down the motor speed to wheel speed. I think they use a 9.47 to 1 ratio. Um, yeah, so one of Elon Musk's biggest stresses while working at Tesla, while his time at Tesla, was getting a working transmission. No one really took him seriously when he was trying to build an electric car. No one would really want to give him the time, and he couldn't find anything that would really work. Everything he had kept on breaking down, but he found the answer. They just use a single gear, which is all they need, because um, you turn when an electric motor turns on, it doesn't move like a mechanical motor. Yeah, a combustion engine. So yeah, that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's some sources. Thank you.